business lender in the Hudson Valley, we strive to not only provide financing, but also technical assistance and training to our small business borrowers. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us here again today. In an ideal world, you hired your employees to grow your business, to make it work better and harder, and you hope that they support your goals and vision for the business and are all on your team. Unfortunately, in reality, that doesn't always work out that way. And while the quote-unquote fault might lay with your employees in some cases, there are also ways that you as a business owner influence your staff in ways that you may or may not be aware of that hinders them from being as productive as they could be. So we'll try and look at that aspect of the presentation in this presentation today and see how you can stop driving them nuts. My colleague Holly Perlowitz will lead the presentation. Thank you and welcome, Holly. Most of you probably already know her, and we at CCNY are very fortunate to have her. Holly speaks at many small business workshops and forums on a variety of business topics and serves on several advisory committees and boards relating to financial literacy and supporting small business owners in their efforts to develop and expand their businesses. Holly has also taught a number of business courses as an adjunct professor. As a nonprofit, our organization relies on outside funders and grants to be able to provide quality training opportunities and support to small businesses such as yours in the Hudson Valley. Today's webinar is in part brought to you through funding from the Small Business Administration, and we truly appreciate their support. Thanks to the SBA for being a partner to small businesses. Before we get started with the actual presentation, I just want to take a minute to walk you through the technology. I hope that everybody can hear me by now. Even if we don't have a large number of attendees, I'm going to mute everybody on the call for the duration of the webinar, just so we can hear the presentation clearly. If you do have any questions, problems, or concerns, you can use that right-hand bar that pops up with your GoToWebinar screen and use the questions or chat boxes to send questions to us. We can then interrupt the webinar to ask your questions and answer them at different times. And at the end of the session, I'm going to take everybody off of mute so we can have a little bit of interaction and discussion and also answer any questions that might not have been answered during the presentation. We will also have a couple more poll questions. Those of you who were on the call last time are already familiar with those. Those are multiple choice questions, basically, that you will click on from your computer, and then the answers you provide are anonymous. So we do encourage you to answer using your mouse and clicking on the appropriate boxes. I'll switch over the controls to Holly in a moment, and hope everything goes well and we're not having any technical glitches this time around. So I think that was it. I hope you enjoyed the webinar and will be able to utilize the information. Let's go.
Hi, everybody. Well, one thing's for sure, technology problems will drive us nuts too, so let's hope we don't have any of them. All right, so this webinar is about how to stop driving your employees nuts, and it's kind of a comical title, but one that I think is real. And I hope your takeaways from this are just a couple of thoughts about how to endear and align employees with you, because study after study shows that that's what makes them most productive. Now we have a polling question to start off. So do you want to launch that?
Yes. Hold on. We also had a question from somebody saying that they can hear but they can't talk back. So again, if you would like to interact with us and actually speak with us, the best way to do that is to use your phone if your computer doesn't have a microphone built in. So if you use your phone and you enter your audio PIN, you'll be able to actually talk back to us once we unmute everybody. So here comes the first poll. We're just wondering, of the people on the call, how many employees do you currently have? We are asking that you also count family members and part-time employees. And so here are your 4 choices. Go ahead and pick the one that best matches your business at the moment. And we will see who responds. I think people who are doing the webinar via their phones probably are not able to click on those boxes. So, sorry to not get your votes, but we know that that's a limitation. Okay, so here, let's see. Oh, there you go. Even split between some people that have no employees yet, so you're hopefully off to a good start with us. Some people that have 1 employee and some that have 3 or more, so that I'm sure is interesting to juggle every day. And back to your presentation.
Great, terrific. All right, well, as I mentioned, years of studies show that getting employees engaged in your business, aligned to the organization, and motivated to do a good job is less about the extras you give them and more about stopping the stuff that makes employees nuts. Let me give you a quick sort of fable or parable, whatever the correct term is, to illustrate this point. Leaders in a mythical company worked diligently to create a lovely garden footpath. They designed it to honor and inspire and rejuvenate the workforce. But no one used it, and they couldn't figure out why. Unbeknownst to the leaders, the employees were walking around every day with sharp stones in their shoes. All of their energy was focused towards relieving or coping with that discomfort. So taking additional steps, regardless of how beautiful this path was, didn't even occur to them. So the point is that employees can't appreciate the things that you do for them or that you provide for them if they're just distracted and pained by what they perceive as an irritant. Simone, let's launch the second polling question.
Sure. And we were just wondering if you were actually an employee before you started your own business. So it's a pretty quick and easy yes or no answer. Also, Holly, I think you didn't actually advance the slides.
I didn't. I apologize.
Okay. Never mind. I was just hoping that my screen didn't freeze up.
No, that was me.
Okay. All right. So we have a decent number of people responding.
Yeah, I can't see the answers to the poll, so I'm glad that you're able to tell us that.
So, not surprising, everybody on the call seemed to have been an employee before you started your own business. So you probably are aware of some of the things that we're going to point out to you today. But it's, in the day-to-day, I'm sure it's not always easy to go back to that and remember. So, okay, moving right along.
All right, so let's take a look at the 5 most significant demotivators. The first one is unclear expectations or clarity. The vast majority of employees want to do a good job. They want to contribute and perform well. What hampers them is a lack of clarity about what the outcomes should be, what the standards are, what success looks like, and how they'll be evaluated. Withhold this information and you'll undermine performance and definitely make employees nuts. The second of the most significant demotivators is underutilization. It's critical that employees feel that they are bringing the best they have to offer. Study after study confirms a connection between employees feeling that their talents are being fully tapped into and feeling aligned with the company. Underutilize their skills and capabilities, and you will definitely make employees nuts. They like to know that they're trusted enough to do what you need them to do. The third most significant demotivator is unnecessary systems, rules, and processes. Many organizations find themselves overlaying rules and systems without thoughtfully reconciling what the problem is and figure out how to solve it. It's not as simple as saying, oh, we got a problem, let's just introduce a new process. Not every problem needs a new process. How about getting to the root and seeing if you really need a new rule or if there's some other issue going on? Band-Aids cover up and sometimes delay healing and resolution, and they certainly can make employees nuts. The fourth most significant demotivator is unproductive use of time. Little is more frustrating to employees than wasting time. Meetings that start late, projects that go nowhere, reports that are filed without review or consideration of what the employees have to offer, fire drills that force people to scramble for no reason. Those 5 minutes here, an hour there, all build up over time, and they definitely make employees nuts. Simone, I think we're going to launch a third polling question now.
Yes. So we're just wondering if you have any regularly scheduled staff meetings right now, where you actually get everybody together and you kind of lay out a plan for the week or the month or the quarter, and just get everybody on the same page. And here we go. Nope, doesn't look like people are actually having staff meetings. It's just we at CCR. So we had 50% answering no and 50% answering NA, which I'm assuming that they don't have any employees yet. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Well, unrelenting change, very big demotivator. Don't get me wrong, keeping pace with today's dynamic marketplace demands a commitment to change. Many organizations have developed an affection for just switching things up, redesigning structures, revising schedules, redefining direction. Sometimes it's just change for change's sake, and the problem is that people become resistant to change. They sort of internalize this sense of, it's never going to be permanent, and that just causes them to simply ignore or let the change wash right over them. So unrelenting changes can definitely drive employees nuts. Oh, I forgot to move this forward now, didn't I? All right. Well, just so that you all know, Simone will, like she did with the last time, send this back out to you by email, so you'll have a copy of this. Mm-hmm. All right, moving forward, I think it's really important to make it a priority to address these 5 demotivators. They're making employees nuts, and just to use the story that I mentioned in the beginning, it'll help remove those sharp stones from their shoes, and I'm certain that you're going to see remarkable results. So just take a minute to think about what motivates your employees and what motivates you. What gets you and keeps you going? You see my hint. My hint is money or what it buys is certainly a prime motivator, but money alone does not create the sense of fulfillment and accomplishment that every human being seeks. And that sense of fulfillment and accomplishment makes for productive employees. I think the world's changing, and again, all that I read says that many years ago people just thought about having a job so they could make money so that they could pay their rent. I think the world's changed, and I think people are looking for fulfillment, and they want to like what they do, and they'll adjust their lifestyle to meet the income that they make. And again, study after study shows money alone is not the motivator to work. It's feeling a part of an organization, feeling liked, feeling appreciated. Simone, you going to launch polling number 4?
Yes. So again, of those of you who have employees, we were wondering if you have performance review meetings with your employees. Either yes, you have them and they're on a set schedule, yes, you have them as needed. You just kind of informally talk to people, or you don't have any of them. And here we go. Oh, share them. Here we go. So there's nobody who actually has them scheduled. Some are as needed, and some still don't have employees, so it's not an issue. And let's see here. Mary says that they have meetings on a monthly basis, but that was, no, wait a second, that was on the previous question. Never mind. Here we go, moving right along.
Okay. Just a thought. I don't know where I heard this from. I think it might have been someone like Maya Angelou, but as the mother of 3, and they're all older now, I remember always telling my kids that people will not remember what clothes you were wearing, what car you were driving, what shoes you had on, but people will always remember how you made them feel. And it's something that I really want you to think about. Ask yourself questions and then put yourself into your employee's mindset, because I know that if you do that, you'll realize things that will ultimately make your employees more productive. So let's just run through these so that we all take them in. How do you feel when you're recognized for good and hard work and for actions that were intentional? You wanted to do a good job and somebody recognized it. How do you feel when you feel like a member of a team? When you feel like a part of the company? No, you don't own it. No, you may not be a top manager, but you feel like a part of a team. How do you feel when people can count on you? Doesn't it feel great when your boss knows that you'll be there? You feel appreciated. You feel like somebody's counting on you. How do you feel when you fully understand the big picture of what's to be accomplished? And on the other side, how do you feel when you're only given pieces of information and not a full picture? Telling your employees as much as you can about what the intention here is critical. It makes them align themselves and feel engaged into what's going on at the organization. How do you feel when you're actually included in the planning? Wow, somebody's listening to you. Somebody's listening to you who's in the trenches, for lack of a better term, and is listening to you and asking your opinion. How do you feel when you feel secure in your role with the company? How awful it must be to feel like you're always working with a shotgun to your head because you don't know if you're going to have a job the next day. It doesn't make you feel very secure, and that's one of the stones in the shoes that'll make you not be able to concentrate on the job that needs to be done. How do you feel when you see the future and your role in it? Wow, you know where you're going. You have a path. How do you feel? How do you feel to be appreciated? Again, just think through those questions and try to put yourself into your employee's mindset. I think it's really, really important for you to work to get your employees to see the things that are working. If they're always focusing on problems, they will be unproductive. I think it's perfectly okay, and it's a good strategy to walk around and ask, what's preventing you from doing an even better job than you're already doing? What are you spending your time on that you feel you shouldn't be spending your time on? Be a part of their thought process. You can create a culture, and every company does have a culture, big and small. They all have a culture. And you can create a culture where people feel that they're committed to results, where they're excited about their work because they feel appreciated, accepted, and counted on. You can create a culture where people know that what has to be done, and they don't feel that they don't feel the need to be babysat. What's worse than having your boss stand over your shoulder and you get the sense that they don't trust you? You can create a culture where you feel comfortable to suggest ideas, changes, because they know that they will be considered. And even if rejected, they'll be appreciated for caring enough to share. Make them realize that it's okay if they share. You can create a culture where they're willing to learn because they appreciate that you are willing to teach or offer them an opportunity to learn. You can also create a culture where you and your employees can't wait to get up and go at least 95% of the time. Now, my background's accounting, so I'm always thinking of percentages and numbers. I'd love to say 100%, but we're all entitled to bad days now and then. So I think that, again, the purpose of this conversation today, and we're not quite done yet, but the purpose of it was just to get you to think through some of these ideas. As entrepreneurs, you're wearing many, many hats, and you have a lot of things to do during the course of the day, but you've got to focus on the fact that you need doers. You just can't do it all by yourself, so you need doers, and those doers will be more productive if they feel appreciated, if they feel the environment is open so that they can be a part of the organization. I want to sort of share something with you before we open up the discussion. I read recently that there was a leader who created something called a user manual for himself, My User Manual, I think it was called, and he decided that he was going to give it to everyone as they started to come and work for him. It was a one-page user manual so people could really understand how to work with him. Just to give you an idea, some of the examples of what the user manual said, it said, I'm a patient, even-tempered, and easygoing person. I appreciate straight, direct communication. Say what you're thinking and say it without wrapping your message. Wow, isn't that great to know about your boss? I'm goal-oriented, but have a high tolerance for diversity and openness to different viewpoints. So again, say what you're thinking and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo. I welcome ideas anytime, but I appreciate that you have real ownership of your idea and that you have thought it through in terms of the total business impact. He also added at the end, these points are not an exhaustive list, but should save you some time figuring out how to work with me and how to behave in this company. Please make me aware of additional points you think I should add to this to my user's manual so that I can help future people who are joining our organization by providing them with a revised version of my user manual. Now, at first I thought it was a little wild, but then I in stepping back, I thought, this is really great. It really made sense to me because, you're often, stuck in this sort of strange approach that people take where they try the same approach with everybody that they work with. But if you lead people for a while, you realize that it's striking how different people are. There are some common denominators, but if you use the exact same approach with two different people, you can get very different outcomes. So I encourage you to get to know the people that you work with. This person who tried this approach found that it really shortened the learning curve when you build new teams and you bring new people on board, particularly those of you who are starting and growing fast. You have to sort of take some shortcuts, and I think it's kind of a fun way of saying, here's my user's manual. I mean, there are so many user manuals now for software packages and equipment and all of that. How about creating your user manual and letting people people know, what you're all about. And if you give them this, how to work with me page on the first day, they get a different perspective on who you are and how you relate to people and how open you are. It's much easier when they understand that these are the things that you like and you don't like and how you are. Again, this, and I have to search out where I read this, but I remember reading that it was the reaction from the people that he gave it to from his employees was 100% positive. And I think it might be a fun thing for you to consider. All right, so Simone, maybe we can open it up now for any questions or comments or thoughts.
Let me unmute everybody. There we go. Okay. I also got an email from Scott Marks who said that he can't actually see the presentation, but I think he's joined us via phone, so I don't know if he's going to be able to actually talk back to us or if he can at least listen in. But everybody's off of mute, so if there's anything else you want to share, if there's any other questions. Holly, I think you somehow unmuted yourself. I don't know what happened. Is that something that your audio pin is not enabled? Very strange. Anyways, if anybody else has any other questions, comments, I thought that user manual's story was pretty interesting. I definitely think that would make it easier for people to work work with other people. Like even in an office, sometimes you wonder, if they prefer email, phone calls, just stick their head in their office. What do they want to do? So that definitely helps.
Yeah, that.
Yes, I think you're back on.
Great. Amazing. I did that without a user manual.
See?
Well, again, if there aren't any thoughts, I really do hope that you read through this and think it through. We tried to be a little comical about it, but I think it's a really serious subject and one that, bad employees can be a real, for lack of a better term, a real disease in your company, and you just can't allow it. So people who aren't willing to work with you are people you have to respond to. But I also think that you have to take some responsibility in getting to know your employees and getting to create the culture where it's an open, fun, engaging environment, because people will want to stay working there if they feel that. And always turn it back to yourself. How would you feel if? How would you feel if somebody wasn't treating you properly, someone wasn't including you? Think about the stones in the shoe analogy, and I hope this helps.
Yep, so again, if there's any more questions, feel free to shout them out or write them in if you can.